Four, three, two, one. Yay. Okay. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Welcome, guys, to the fourth and final session of the Power Up Your Pedagogy PD Challenge. We've made it. We made it to the final session, and we are super excited for you guys to be here with us today. If you've made the time to be live with us today, even better. But as you were coming in, we are going to do something a little bit different today. Ruby said last session, sad day. I agree. Sad day. But as you were coming in, just drop your grade level, your content area. And for fun today, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have you drop your favorite teacher beverage in the comments. And I know that school has started back for a lot of you. So if you are watching this as a replay, please let us know that you have watched the replay by filling out the PD certificate form. Let us know that you showed up. Love that. Okay. Lauren, this is the first time I've seen Lauren. So Lauren, first grade, love me some Alani New. Cool. Erica is so happy to be joining the live. She didn't mind. Her first day was postponed today due to the tropical storm. So like impromptu summer continuum, right? Jen said English, grade 9, black coffee and or warm water. I am not a black coffee drinker. Ken, Diet Coke. I used to be a McDonald's Diet Coke drinker solely, but now I've got my water as well. K through 12 instructional technology, water. Dana, good for water. Can also teach us social studies. Ruby is 11th grade, A push. Dr. Pepper. My stepdaughter is a Dr. Pepper lover. And Erica is 4th grade, all subjects, water or Coke. And Jen said she wasn't able to make the other sessions, but she can always watch those replays, right? She can watch the replays. We've got replays all the way until August 25th. So no worries there. And Michael is a social studies and English teacher with coffee. Awesome. I love to see what people like to drink, because I don't know about you guys, but in like the teacher world, we've got our favorite cups, we've got our favorite drinks, right? And we might have more than one type of cup. We might have a Stanley or a Simple Modern, and then we've got our coffee mug, right? Okay, so awesome. Yeah, Jen, you can definitely watch those replays. So today is a little bit different. This is our fourth and our final session in this series. It's all about kicking off the school year and supercharging your back to school prep. Okay, today's team, for those of you who were not here for our last sessions, my name is Brittany Blackwell. I have been an educator for the past 14 years. I am also the marketing and community lead here at Class Companion. And Avery Pan, who is our CEO and co-founder, is in the chat. She is moderating, so make sure you say hey to her there. Let us know that you are paying attention to her. If you have questions while I'm talking, she'll be answering those down in the chat for you as well. Yes, and Dana says, we're just going to go ahead and highlight this. Dana says, definitely worth your time to watch the replays. Awesome. Hi, Tamra. So be sure you say hey to Avery down in the chat. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to talk a little bit about this being our last session. We've talked about unleashing the power of AI feedback and coaching with Class Companion. That was our first session. So if you have no recollection or no knowledge of Class Companion, highly recommend you check out that specific session, because it's really giving you the meat and potatoes of what Class Companion does, right? And then if you're interested, I'd highly recommend the second one, which is Mastering Formative Assessment Strategies. What can you actually utilize Class Companion for other than the obvious, right? And then our last session, which was on Tuesday, was all about inclusivity with universally designed learning, but also how to meet all of the needs of the learners in your classroom. And so what we want to do now is really get this back to school going. So today's session is all about prepping for back to school with Class Companion. And one of the biggest and most important things when we're implementing a new program is planning for and prepping for it. And that can be a little hard, right? Like, it's like, where do you start? And it's so much more effective to, when you start using a new platform, to start out the new year with an idea of those expectations. So that is why we've developed this as part of the series. So the goal for this is to prepare for using Class Companion effectively from the start of the new school year. Our learning objectives today are going to be to establish effective routines for success, introduce students to Class Companion, and then incorporate Class Companion into your workflow. And now this specific session is going to be a lot less me telling you what to do or demoing, and a lot more about leading you to creating a plan that you feel most comfortable with. I don't believe in saying this is the only way to do something when we are all individual teachers. We're all teaching different grade levels. We're teaching different content areas. And so we often, though, need something to help support us in making those individual classroom decisions. And that is what this session is all about. Just a quick reminder, in order for you guys to receive your PD certificate, you will need to attend the session, participate. You're also going to be responsible for completing the session 2 action steps and the assignment via a Google Doc, and then submit that in the PD certificate form as well. I'm going to give you the doc and the form soon, so you can find this also in your Power Up dashboard after this session. But those are the PD requirements, just as they are for every one of the other sessions we've done. Here's the schedule. We're going to talk a little bit about how this time together is going to look. Again, like I said, this session is more we do and you do than me do this time around. I will quickly just chat a little bit about establishing effective routines with Class Companion, but then we're going to review this step-by-step guide and the resources that we've created. And then we'll have some time for you to do the action steps, which helps you to create your own individual back to school plan. Sound good? Give me an emoji in the chat if you are ready to go. Give me an emoji in the chat. Kaylee is here with us. Yes, awesome. Okay. Just give me an emoji in the chat if you are ready to go. Okay, so I did this waterfall method in the first 3 sessions, and I see a lot of our previous attendees here with us today. But for those of you who haven't been here and you just really needed to know something to do for back to school, let me explain this again. So we want you to be active here. We want you to talk in the chat. We want you to ask us questions and give us thoughts and all of that stuff. So please make sure you do that. But this waterfall method is just a way for us to gather everybody's input simultaneously. And lots of times what we'll see is that people, when they share their idea, they're like, oh yeah, and they kind of piggyback off of each other. But this is going to allow us to everybody wait and then share all at once, so we get an instant snapshot of everybody's thoughts. And so I'm going to put the question here on the screen. I want you to think about your answer. I want you to type it in the chat, but don't hit send yet. Okay. I'll give you time to think, and then I'll do a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and we'll hit send at the same time. And we'll be able to see our responses kind of cascade like a waterfall. All right. So here's the prompt. Ready? See a couple of emojis in the chat. Thank you for that. What is the one thing you do to prep for the new school year? What's the one thing you do? Don't hit enter. Just think about it. Type it out. Don't hit send. What's the one thing you do to prep for the new school year? Don't hit send. All right. 3, 2, 1, hit send. Dana said, summer PD, map out the first month. Vitamin C. Oh, yes. Vitamin C. Brent says, organize everything. Summer PD, breathe, make copies. Yes. Okay. Yes. Pace out my units for at least the first quarter. Reload course policies and activity changes. Yes. Calendar? Yeah. Plan for the general calendar. What books, skills, units, all of that stuff. Yes. And then Tamara, review IEPs and behavior plans. Yes. Okay. All of these things are things that we do to prep for the new school year. Okay. But now I want to ask you another question, and I want us to do another waterfall with it. Okay. So this is my second question. Think about it. We'll give you some time. I'll count down 3, 2, 1, and then we'll hit enter. Okay. All of those things are great things to do to prep for the new school year. But how do you typically share new programs with your students at the beginning of the school year? Think about it. Don't hit send. Don't hit send. Rochelle is here. Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. So think about it. Don't hit send. How do you typically share new programs with your students at the beginning of the school year? Jen asked a clarifying question, and so I want to make sure that yes, software programs, things that you're going to use. I mean, really any tool. How do you typically share these with your students at the beginning of the school year? I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds to think, and then we'll go 3, 2, 1. So type it out. Don't hit enter. 3, 2, 1. Hit enter. All right. So we got a lot of different answers here. Ruby says she introduces the program, she models it, and then they come back together the next day and they do it that way and they try it out. Erica says she has a technology teacher that helps if it's something that they've not used in a younger grade. Yi uses the LMS. Dana, depending on the grade level, lots of times modeling, introducing it in a fun way, light, fun topic for a first class companion assignment. Great. Michael says introduce them through Google Classroom over the course of the first few weeks with no content or low content activities. Love that. Video explanations or step-by-step instructions. Jen, I like this one. This is why I giggled. Tell them that we're going to try a new thing, the basic stuff to get started. And she uses the phrase throwing spaghetti at the wall a lot. Brittany, I love this. Stations. Yes. Rochelle says, show them in class, create and get them involved step by step. Good. And last, Tamara says, plan 2 days each to teach a new program and then have the students practice. So direct instruction, examples, and then an activity. Love this. Awesome. Great answers. And the reason that I asked these 2 questions back to back like this and got you guys involved in it is because we're all different, right? We're all going to want to do things different ways, and we don't want to recreate the wheel. If something has worked for us in the past, let's do that again, but just maybe adapt it to be something new, right? And so I like to kind of talk like this so that other people can say, oh, that's a really good idea. I like the idea of stations, or I like the idea of, having 2 days. And that way you guys can learn from each other. When we're kind of looking at the back to school stuff, there are routines that we want to consider. And so this is the part that I'm going to talk through really quickly. But then we'll kind of move on to that we do, you do section. We know as teachers that having a routine is not only good for us as teachers to be able to plan effectively, but routines also create this stable learning environment where students feel secure. They feel like they understand what is expected of them, regardless of their grade level. And it sets the stage for this successful teaching, this good collaboration, this great learning. And so the types of routines that we consider at the beginning of the year might be these really simple things, some daily routines, right? Are we going to do bell ringers, exit tickets, checks for understanding, homework? Okay. Then we might think, all right, from a weekly standpoint, how are we going to utilize Class Companion? Is it going to be, are we going to have one-on-one conferences? How are we going to use it for assessment? Are we going to use it for test prep? Are we going to use it for, how do we want to use it within our lesson planning? And then we move to monthly. Okay. Are we going to use analytic reviews? Are we going to look at student analytics? Are we going to progress monitor? Are we going to have goal setting and reflection with our students? Is that when we're going to have the time to customize our assignment? A lot of these things that we've talked about have been part of this series, okay? So if any of these are like, what the heck is she talking about, right? We have talked about these in the formative assessment session and in the UDL session. So if this is not really making a whole lot of sense, I do recommend that you go back and listen. And then semester or annual things. How are we going to introduce our students? How are we going to communicate with our parents, right? Because that's part of our job. What's the professional development? How often are we going to participate in professional development for a specific program like Class Companion? And then how are we going to manage our resources? And I want to say this. I absolutely don't want you to think that you have to incorporate Class Companion daily or have every assignment in the platform. Okay. You could, but we want to have a routine in place where students know when they're going to be typically interacting with an AI, and then how are we going to use that information? How is that going to help us in our lesson planning and helping to have progress with our students? It's about creating this balanced routine that fits your teaching style, and then it also meets your students' needs. It's flexible, it's powerful, and it's truly transformative. This is going to come down to your thoughts, your beliefs around how you want to empower your students to fix their mistakes. How do you want to engage? How do you want your students to engage with assignments more meaningfully, right? And teachers who use Class Companion, they rave. They rave about how much more work students are willing to do when they're interacting with an AI. And students who typically wouldn't do or would do the bare minimum, right, are often the ones who are more engaged in asking for help and disputing responses. And so having these routines set up where students know when they can interact with Class Companion's AI, and having those routines where you know how you're going to use that data, how you're going to differentiate, that is truly where the magic happens. All right. So now what I want us to do is I want us to go straight into the homework. Okay. What we've done here is you'll be able to access the homework doc. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quickly. And I am going to reshare. And we're going to go over this homework together. Okay. So it's bit.ly/powerup session4HW. You are more than welcome. I've said this time and time again. You guys are more than welcome to just listen, to soak it all in, do it afterwards, or when we have time for you guys to do the you do part. But you could also just open this up on your side and do this with us. Okay. So I want you guys to recognize that you have this teacher action step checklist here. And we've already done it. We've already done it. We've created our account. We've looked at this platform throughout this series. We've hopefully set up some classes, right? And hopefully customized your settings. If you haven't done the 3 and 4, that is okay. But this is just kind of like a checklist to kind of get you started. So if you're a brand new user or you are starting this new school year, this is what you would typically set up. All right. Anytime that I'm talking throughout this and you're like, what does this mean? Please ask in the chat. It's perfectly fine. So after we have that initial setup time, then we're going to get into this planning and preparation. And so I mentioned before that we have this step-by-step guide to really creating your back to school plan. And so a lot of these questions are just, what do you want to do? What's going to work best for your classroom? Okay, this is not prescriptive. This is just giving you thoughts and ways to think about this and then be able to use it. So, which routines are you going to incorporate? Okay. Are you going to have daily check ins or bell ringers? Are you going to start each day with a quick activity using Class Companion? Because that's a great way of doing it. You totally could do that. Are you going to have regular feedback sessions? Would you schedule regular time for students to receive and act on some AI feedback? Then you've got homework integration. Are you going to be doing homework, right? That is a way that you could use this, where you're providing that practice and then sending it home. And then the students are getting the support that they need. So they're not just, it's making it equitable, right? Making it equitable. So these are different ways that you can do this. And then one-on-one conferences. Are you going to use student insight to then meet with the students to progress monitor, to set some goals with them? Because we gave you a whole sheet to be able to do that, or a template that you could kind of work off of. So determining which routines do you want to incorporate. Are you going to offer individually assigned lessons or assignments? Okay. And if so, how does that work? Because what happens is we say, yeah, I'm going to do individually assigned lessons, or I'm going to do individually assigned assignments. And then the year goes on and we're like, oh man, did I do that? I never did do that. I said that I was going to do that. So when we plan and we prep for the new year and we have these thoughts already in our head and we have it planned out, then we can actually get those things done. You do not have to do every single one of these. These are just ideas of ways that you could incorporate it, how you can make more meaningful instruction, how you could empower your students to be motivated to interact with the AI, to actually be engaged, right? How will you collaborate with other teachers? How will you share assignments, insights? Lots of times we have teachers who are working within the same, content area, right? Where maybe we're all AP US history teachers, but let's not recreate the wheel. Let's not make an assignment and then Susie down the hall has to make another assignment. Let's share that. But how will we do that as a group or as co-teachers? Okay. Will you offer individually assigned lessons and assignments? How will you plan for these effectively? All of these things are really good to note. All right. And then once you have those ideas down and you're like, okay, this is what I'm using it for. This is how often I'm going to do things daily, how I'm going to do them weekly, how I'm going to do them monthly, so on. Then it's time to decide how you're going to introduce this to your students. What are your expectations for students to interact with the AI? Okay. Like we want students to know before they get started that we can see what you're typing, right? Like raise your hand or say it in the comments if you know that one of your students would be saying some off the wall stuff, and you got to let them know before they get started using it. Hey, I can see everything that you say and I can see everything that the AI says. Like, tell me in the comments. Let us know. Okay. And so letting them know, how are they going to do this? Are they going to, how they can dispute the AI's feedback? If you think that this is incorrect, you want to have those abilities to be able to do that. And your students need to know. Your students also need to know, if you're going to be giving multiple attempts for assignments, that they can ask for help and it doesn't impact their number of attempts. So if you give students on an assignment 2 attempts, then they can ask for help and it doesn't take away that attempt. And so they need to be able to know how to use it and what your expectations for use are. And so providing that initial training and then providing them with a class link where they can individually get into your class. Now, if you have district premium access, Class Companion is integrated with your current LMS system, so you don't have to do that part. But if you do not have a premium account, if you don't have district access and that sort of thing, then you'll decide, do you want to do a class link or do you want to email your students individually? And then get them involved, getting them playing with the features, asking for help, multiple times, all those things. Okay. So I'm going to skip this introduction to parent stuff because I did see in the chat where Ken said, he was asking, you know, like, where do, I'm glad to know that people would have that. Where is the student introduction slideshow? Okay. So there is a full student facing resource folder here that you can access any of these things. The idea of this is to make this more simple for you guys. Okay. You don't have to use this just as it's made. You can adapt it. You can individualize it specifically for your class. You don't have to use it. It's just something to go off of. Okay. And so if it's too advanced for your students, or if it is too kiddie for your students, then you can adjust that. But it just gives you something to work off of. So we do have a lesson plan linked here. That lesson plan has all of the other things in here too. And so there is a slideshow. Again, this is super basic stuff. And so it's not meant for you to absolutely have to use this. Okay. You don't have to use this. Actually, you know what? I think I'm seeing that you guys are not having access. So what I'm going to do really quick is make sure that you do have access to this. Anyone with a link. So hopefully you guys have that. And I'll just check to make sure. Yeah. Share. Thank you guys for that. But lesson plan, slideshow, these are all adaptable. You can make these your own. You don't have to use it this way. Okay. Share. Hopefully you guys have access to this now. And if you don't, I will make sure that you guys do. Found it, requested access. Good. So really quick, let me show you what the slideshow looks like. That way, again, like I said, it's super basic. It does contain the objectives. We've got some vocabulary here. We've got a way for kids to interact. Like, let's brain dump. Let's tell us everything that you know about AI coaching and feedback. Chances are they probably don't know what the heck you're talking about, right? And so you're going to have to, it just gives you something to build off of. We did include some turn and talk in here. It's learning, some things like that. Again, feel free to adjust as you need to. There's some examples of what this would look like with coaching and with first attempts, how you can kind of show this off before your students get into their own platform. We also have an example of a student AI contract, some Cornell notes for the students to take notes while you're doing the lesson if you prefer to do it that way. And then lastly, there is an exit ticket here that you can do in the platform. So it could be like their first assignment that they get to play around in. And so really quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys kind of observe some of these things. I'm going to fix access to everything else. I do apologize. I just want to make sure that everybody has access as they need to. So I'm going to share with anybody. Sorry again. Let's take a quick second. Again, this is just meant for you guys to have the ability to just have something to go off of. Because lots of times when we start using a new program, we're like, what do we do with this? How are we going to get started? How do we share this? You know? And so we wanted to give you some resources to make it simpler. All right, so everybody should have access to everything else at this point in time. In the chat, let me know if clicking on a link you are unable to access something specific. Yeah, I just gave permission for everybody, so hopefully you guys are able to see that now. Jen, yes. She says, thanks for all these resources to help us get going without the wheel reinvention. That's the idea. Let's see. Let's see. Erica, I do apologize. Ruby has access now. Yay! And I'm actually fixing the link for anybody who is watching the replay. So let's just take some time to kind of look at these really quickly. And just note anything in the chat that you see that you're like, I really like that, or this is how you would adapt it. Would love for us to share some thoughts there. All right. Still working through some of these things. So Jenny said, so what I would recommend is if you are still having issues, I apologize again for that. But please make sure that just reopen a new assignment. That would probably be the best way to go about that, is to open up a brand new assignment, because those links are broken. So I apologize for that. And I have just refixed all of these so that you should have access to every one of them. So if you go to bit.ly/powerupsession4HW, then you should have access to these. If you already made your copy, it might have messed it up just a little bit. So sorry about that. We all have those moments in teaching, right? All right. Jenny said she got it. Yay! Ruby says she likes how succinct and easily readable the slides are. Yeah. I mean, we tried to make this as um, as easy and brief as we could to let you guys have more freedom to share how you want to. How do you want this to look in your classroom? Every one of us is going to look a little bit different. So we don't want this to be something that you're doing, it's a prescriptive formula, because that might not be authentic to you in the classroom, right? This is a really good question. Yi wants to know what's the difference between rubrics and scoring criteria in the short answer function. So that's a really good question. Your scoring criteria is kind of like your ability to have like an answer key. And so when you have scoring criteria, when you're doing creating an assignment in short answer, that would just be your answer key. Whereas your rubric is how do you want the AI to give feedback, if that makes sense. And I'm sure Avery is going to share another way of saying that that's a little bit more succinct, but hopefully that was helpful. All right. So I'm going to give you guys about 2 more minutes to look through these things really quickly. So 2 more minutes, and then we'll move on to the parent part. But again, share out any thoughts you have about how you might modify this. Like if some of the things are just too old for your kids or too young for your kids, share how you might adapt this for your classroom. Oh, Avery says use scoring criteria if you have a specific thing you're looking for, like an answer key. Another way to use that is if you want students to use a specific vocabulary word, that might be another option too. Like this answer must contain this vocabulary word. Got about 1 minute, and then we'll move on. Right. So you said I tried using additional scoring criteria function along with a general rubric, and CC won't let you publish the assignment. And CC won't let me publish an assignment without an actual rubric. Right. So you do have to have a rubric in there. If you send that link, Avery can take a look at it. If you can send the link to that specific assignment, then we can. Well, you can't publish it, so you can't do that. Avery can help in the chat. All right. So hopefully you guys had some time just to kind of peek around, look at it. Real quick, come back, put it in the chat. Is there anything that you would adapt for your students? I know Erica teaches 4th grade. So Erica, if you want to put in the chat, if this looks good for your kids or if you would change it. think you guys are head first into these resources. I'm gonna move on to the family facing resources, but hey, if you guys think of something that you can adapt, I would love to share it out. I would love for us to share some ideas too. Okay, so looking at the next part, we're gonna scroll back up above the resource folder. The other thing you're gonna want to think of is, do you want to include a blurb in your syllabus? Okay, like, is that important? Is that something that your district, your school, or something like that would want you to do? Or is that something that you would want to communicate with parents just off the get-go? Determine if you want to add the parent letter or a customized version of this in your back to school welcome packet. I know as a middle school teacher, we had like packets of papers for back to school. And I know that teacher or parents don't always read all of them, but just some thoughts to think of. And then if you have an open house or another parent event, if you're using Class Companion for something like homework, you might want to think about, do you want to showcase this or dive deeper into the platform for parents just to have that communication? And how might you communicate with parents about student progress? Somebody mentioned the other day, and I love it. Are you going to use the insights as part of your parent teacher conferences? And if you are, what might you need for this? So just some things like that. Ruby said, anything with technology, I usually include any information, a welcome back to letter parents. Good. Yes. Tamara, this is a really great question. I am going to come back to it in just a second because I'm also going to give a little bit more time for people to look at the documents and come up with their plan. And so we'll take a look at it on Class Companion. I would love to share this with you, okay? Because Tamara, I am a special education teacher, and that UDL session is definitely for you. Jen said you might also include a little bit about Class Companion in later communication, like if you do a mass email update periodically before introducing it to students. Yeah, great idea. Love that, Jen. Love that. And so inside of there, we also have the parent letter, a syllabus blurb, all of these customizable, right? And a parent night presentation. Again, super basic. There's not a ton on it because what you might want to show is just what it looks like, right? You might just want to show how this might look. And so we have some questions down here at the bottom, ones that we've been thinking about with this checklist. But one of those is you coming up with your own workflow. Like, what might this look like? Okay. So this is an example workflow. This is comprehensive usage. Okay. You do not have to use Class Companion this much. This is like somebody using it for any and all the things. So definitely look at that as just an example here. What are you going to do daily? What are you going to do weekly? What are you going to do monthly? Okay. And so there's some questions here in this section for you to be able to think through and then come up with your plan. All right. Any questions before I kind of let you have some time? I'm going to probably give about, I don't know, 6 minutes for you guys just to kind of play around, ask questions in the chat. And I'm going to show Tamara really quick a feature that I actually did not show in the UDL session as well, but want to give you guys some time to work through it and ask questions while you're on the doc, because this is that we do, you do section. And then at the end, don't forget, don't leave, we do have our giveaway. So, or one of our giveaways. So I'm going to give you guys some time, do about 6 minutes. And I'll stop sharing the screen. And Tamara, I'll show you a really cool feature, especially for collaborating. Tamara said, I know I need to go back and watch sessions 1 through 3, but she's in the mode of like, as a special education teacher, how can she use this with her gen ed humanities teacher? Okay, since you collaboratively teach. I was an inclusion teacher as well. I did co-teaching in math and ELA. But then I also had a pull-out class as well. So I completely understand that mentality, and I love where you're going with this. All right, so let me open this really quickly in another place. Okay. Share screen. All right, so hopefully you can see my screen now. This is just an example of a class with some assignments here. If your humanities teacher has a specific class and wants you guys to be able to collaborate inside of it, maybe you're giving specific assignments to specific students or something of that nature inside of that class, you'll go to settings here at the top of your screen. So you're inside of the class. This is this specific class. You're going to go to settings. And then inside of that, you'll see grade level, standard, subject. And then here, you've got teachers. And so this is me as the teacher. You can add a co-teacher. So all I'd have to do is add, like if I wanted Avery to be my co-teacher, I would just send that and I would invite her to be a co-teacher in my class. But definitely I would recommend for you to go back to the UDL session 3. There is the replay for that available. So we do talk about how to individually assign lessons, how to give accommodations in the classroom for specific students, and really just how to meet all the needs of the learners. So that is definitely one that I would recommend. Also, she mentioned that she does a welcome back to school email, and everything for back to school night is a QR code so she can share a sample of the presentation for them. Great. Awesome. And yes, it is like adding another teacher on Google Classroom. Got about 2 minutes left before we kind of wrap things up. Kaylee said, thank you. Awesome. Okay. So about 1 minute left to work on this. We'll finish up. We'll do our giveaway. If you see anything that you would love to I would love for us to have a dialogue about that. But if it looks good for all the grades, I'm happy because that was kind of the hope and that it wouldn't need to be customized way too much. Jen, yes. So there is the session recordings are inside of the Facebook group. It is pinned to the top and it says specifically, it has a thing that says power up replays. And so you can go back and you have the links for all of those. You will get an email to your email address just with the final recap of this. And it also has it in there as well. All right, Ken, great question. I think I haven't read it yet. I teach entirely online. Our school has rolling enrollment, which means students can be all over the course at any one time. So the whole course needs to be set up. I plan to use Class Companion to provide practice and immediate feedback. I need to know, number one, if I create an assignment today, will students who start next week automatically be assigned to the activity? That's a great question. Yes, they will. Number two is I think and I hope that I can link directly to an activity. I suspect the student who would log in and be directed right to the assignment. Is that what can be expected, or is it better to just link the class page in Class Companion? If you get to this today, please email your thoughts. Okay, yeah. And so first off, the student who joins, Avery's answering it too. A student who joins will see all of the assignments that you publish to that class. And then you can also click actions next to an assignment and get the share with student link. So once they sign into their account, it will all populate for them as well. Those are great questions. Love those questions. All right. So let's finish up here, shall we? It's sad that this is the end, right? It's sad. So we've done a little bit of our Q&A. Just a reminder, if you have participated in the other sessions, you know this, but if you don't, once you have completed your action steps inside of the Google Doc, you've answered the questions, all of that stuff, head over to the PD certificate form located in your Power Up dashboard, and then submit your action step there to receive your PD certificate. We love to hear your feedback. So if you can't give us a 9 or a 10 on something, please give us as much feedback as possible. Okay. I love to be an A student, but if you can't give me a 9 or a 10 on something, tell me what we could do differently to make this more enjoyable for you. Okay. The other thing that I want to mention is that typically I say, this is our next session. This is the last one in this series. But we will be offering a monthly Q&A onboarding session live the first Wednesday of each month. That way we can interact in real time. We can build that community. But you can always ask questions. You can always give support inside of our Facebook community as well. The teachers in that community love to share ideas. We love questions. We love to support. And so we want you to do the same. We hope that you will join us over there. Erica said that is so awesome and will be so helpful with any questions. Yes. So if you guys have that, we want you to be able to talk. We want you to be able to ask those questions and get feedback, all of those great things. So please join us in the Facebook community if you have not already. Last, okay, we got some final giveaways. I do want to let you know that the Power Up PD Challenge ends officially on Sunday, August the 11th. Okay. And so that is totally, that just is when we end the goodie giveaways for all the things that you've been doing for this challenge, but you'll have access to the replays until August 25th. At that time, the replays do expire. So we do want to make sure that you get the opportunity to go through that. But if you have not done certain challenges or you haven't been able to finish some tasks to win some prizes, you can do that until Sunday, August the 11th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. We are also going to announce the winners of the top 3 on the leaderboard. They're going to get some real big prizes. Okay. So there's going to be extra prizes given along the way, but the top 3 on the leaderboard do get the big prizes. And so we will share those and announce those winners next week on Instagram. So if you are interested, you also, if you are one of those winners, will get an email. All right. So today we're going to be giving some swag away. We're going to be helping to hopefully clear some of your teacher wish lists. And so the first question, okay, the person who answers this question first in the chat, the first one, will win a prize. What is the accessibility feature called on Class Companion for oral administration? What is the accessibility feature called on Class Companion for oral administration or text to speech? Yes, Erica. Yes, it's called dictation. Very good. Dictation. Awesome. So, Erica. Awesome. Woo! Congratulations to Erica for being our first winner. Okay. Second question. Ready to go. Let's see. Woohoo! Yay, Erica. She got a day out of school for weather and she wins a prize. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Second question. There are 3 options for submissions currently. How students can submit their work. And it's kind of a trick question. So if you only know 2 of them, it's okay. There are 3 options for submissions currently. What are they? How can students submit their work? Good job, Michael. Yes, typed, handwritten, and both. And I know he was like, I gotta get it in. Yes, yes. Okay. So you can offer handwritten assignments for students and typed or both. Okay. So that was a trick question there. So we got Michael Polinsky. You are the winner of the second prize. And then the third prize. Good job, Erica and Kaylee. Kaylee, they got in second and third place. Silver and bronze, if you will. All right. So, last question. And if you're in the Facebook group, you are probably the one who might know this. We have some new features that are rolling out. They are a specific type of feature, but they will only be for premium users. What are those features? It's kind of a trick because we haven't talked about it specifically in these sessions, but we've talked about it in the Facebook group because we asked a poll. We have some specific features coming up really soon. What are they? Erica, that's a really good guess. Not quite there, but I like the guess. Other people, give us some guesses. Give us some guesses. Or cheat and go look on Facebook. We did talk about embedding YouTubes in another session. You're right. We did do that. They are anti-blank features. There's my hint to you. Anti-blank features. That's what we're calling them anyways. Brent, that's close enough. We like it. Oop. Dana, that was close. We got Brent and we got Dana. Okay. So we're actually going to be calling them response integrity features, but we're also calling them anti-cheating because that makes sense, right? They're going to be response integrity. So they're really focusing on some of that, those specific assignments that students have the exact same response for, right? Because that happens where they start sharing responses and stuff like that. So that will give you that ability. Also, some AI detection, those types of features will be available for premium users at the end of this month. So that is something that we're rolling out really soon. Another thing is that I will be emailing you guys, Erica, Michael, Brent, and Dana, for your prizes. But really quick, also want to share that we love to ask you guys questions inside of the Facebook group. The developers will be like, wonder what teachers would like. And I don't know about you, but as a teacher, I appreciate when a tool will ask what I think. And we want to make something that is good for teachers, right? We want something that's useful for you guys. So please, 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 we do have a poll going out today. Please share your thoughts. Participate in those polls because we want this to be as useful and as friendly, teacher friendly as possible. Okay. So thank you guys again for participating in this four session PD series. We are so thankful for you guys. It was amazing to power up with you guys. Truly, we thank you for what you do for students every day. You guys are superheroes. You will get a replay in your email very shortly, and be on the lookout for more really amazing things coming soon. You can stay in the loop by checking out our monthly product emails or following us on social media. We are class.companion on Instagram and TikTok. We are classcompanion_ on X. And last but not least, we are continuing this until August the 11th. So make sure to get your tasks done, and good luck to everybody. Bye.